What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Take This, episode number 39. 39. That's where we're at, Griff. Are you excited? We're so close to 50. I can't wait to get there. Cannot wait. Today, you know what we got? We got an NFL episode for you. Why did I put who you got on there? I don't think we're doing that, are we?
We're doing a recap.
Recap, okay.
Before the season finale next week, because who you got was, it's a football picks segment, not a really year-round thing. So we're just going to kind of talk, just to recap where we are, because the standings are very close, and it's going to come right down to the wire at the end.
Yeah,
here, so.
And what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Have a tie break?
Yeah, we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. It'll just be on a random Red Wings game. First, whoever picks like the right goal scorer.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're both in our Red Wings gear today. It's so cute.
Yeah, when I went to Little Caesars Arena, we stopped. We have nothing, right? We haven't bought Red Wings like anything in a long time. And so what is it? Katie and I, and then like our friends had stopped at like Meijer, or whatever, just literally, and they didn't have much. I think we actually might have gone to we went to Walmart first, I believe, and then we went to Meijer. We were like, the Walmart didn't have anything, so I bought this. And then what did Katie get? I think she got a nice shirt. We got scarves, all that. We were ready to go though. We were so ready to go. Got a hotel down in Detroit, even though like my family lives there. Terrible decision, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. Anyway, Griff, are you ready for this episode?
Yeah, I have some mildly breaking news that actually does relate to one of our topics, but
Really?
We'll talk about it when we get there.
Oh, perfect. I can't wait.
So
Griff, first off, I want to talk about the AFC, all right? So I was the only one.
Championship weekend, right?
I was the only one. The only one. We had our guest on last week. How your vacation? I hope it was wonderful, but you were wrong. You all were wrong. You guys said the Chiefs gonna tear up the Bengals. I think even. Okay,
to be fair, I didn't say a word. I felt that game was gonna be close no matter what.
We had Clay on, and Clay same thing. He was like, "Yo," I led with MSU hockey, and he's like, "No, I gotta insert my opinions on football first," and he said that the Chiefs gonna tear apart, and I was like, yeah. And I think he's from Cincinnati. Did he say? He might have said Bengals. Actually, I might be totally wrong. So anyway, that's how that went, and the Bengals came away with the victory. Joe mother effing Burrow, and it was a good time. It was a good time. But Mahomes, my guy. Not a good. I got to admit, it surprised the hell out of me. I was watching the game. I forget what we were doing that day, but I was watching the game, and I ended up leaving like the game. Like I was watching. I was like, this game's over. Chiefs all the way. I come back. I get updates. I'm like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, it. Because let's be real. I mean, don't get me wrong, great performance. Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow coming through hard. But like the Chiefs, it was their game. They were up 21-3. 21-3. And at the end of the first half, the Bengals, they score on that weird little screen pass to Perrine, the second, I would say the backup, or the second string running back on the Bengals, with like a minute something left in the second half, and somehow the Chiefs go all the way down and they run out of timeouts. And they're on like the 1 yard line, and it's a situation where it's like you got to either throw it in the end zone, throw it away, throw it in the end zone, touchdown, or throw it away so you can kick the field goal, right? You and they're on the 1, so it's just like do not throw a backwards or horizontal pass. And so right at the end of the half, for whatever reason, um, I still don't understand it. Again, on the 1 yard line, Mahomes throws the ball into the flat to Hill, and he gets tackled inbounds with no time left. So they left at least 3 points on the field, if not a touchdown. And those 3 points could have been very critical, and it allowed Cincinnati. They went into the half only down 11, which was the exact same deficit they were down in the regular season game where they came back and won. And then in the second half, just they just didn't let Patrick Mahomes do what he wanted to do, and he didn't adjust, and the Chiefs didn't adjust, and it was just it was something else. I just don't know what happened to Mahomes. Like he's the most would you say like he's the one of the most beloved quarterbacks by like the media, right? Like the media talks about him like he's a god. Like he throws at the weird arm angle, even though like Matthew Stafford and like even Brett Favre threw on weird arm angles to get throws into certain windows. Like he's not the first guy to do it. He is really flashy. He's really good at what he does, and he's a great quarterback. I'm not trying to say he's not, but like I don't see like a lot of media talk about how he is a big reason they lost that game. I mean, he had one of the worst passer ratings in the second half I've ever seen. No touchdowns, I think under 100 passing yards. They gave up 21 unanswered points to allow the Bengals to get back into the game. And then they win the coin toss, which, like, let's be honest, when they won the coin toss, we all thought that they were going to win the game again, right? Just like the Bills game. And then he throws that mind-boggling interception. Like, I don't think it was like it might have been third down, but like to just fuck it and throw it up into double coverage, it was just so unlike him. I'm not really like surprised the Bengals kept it close. They've been a gritty team all year. They've been a very competitive team, great weapons on offense. Like, yeah, they got Joe Burrow and they have Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase, which are great weapons, but like I don't think people realize how good that receiving core is with T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and CJ Uzama, who's been a great tight end this year. Like, and the defense has been, serviceable. I mean, Trey Hendrickson on their defensive line and Jesse Bates in this words as their safety, holding together that secondary. And I know a lot of people like to shit on Eli Apple, but he actually has had a sort of good year, even if this last game wasn't great. So this isn't to say like I'm shocked that the Bengals won. I'm just surprised at how they won because it looked like the Chiefs were running away and they just let the Bengals hang around and let them get back into the game. And in the second half, couldn't do a damn thing to stop them. And, it's a shame because that is like the difference between a dynasty starting and not. Because I think the Chiefs have like next year, but then like after that, like that's when Mahomes' huge contract kicks in. His $50 million a year. Remember, he's still playing on his cap hit this year was only his rookie deal hit. Next year it goes up to like 46 million or something. So that cap is going to start to squeeze on him, even if it does go up. And it's going to be hard for them to keep this team together and keep just filling it with the talent that it has. So, I'm very curious to see what happens for them, but I'm extremely excited for Joe Shiesty and the Bengals. Fellow Big Cat team.
What a
Lord
nice
knows.
story too.
I know. I mean, like the Bengals are a lot like the Lions. Like the Bengals have been to a Super Bowl, but in the last 20, 30 years, they've shared our plight of just being
No,
mediocre to
no, no
bad.
wins, no playoff wins since 1991, and they come out here and they're going to the fucking Super Bowl. Like, if there's any sort of like optimism for the Lions, that is it right there. Like any optimism to take away, and again, like I am like born and raised in Michigan, right? And I never understood the Lions. My dad was a Lions cynic, like very much like not ever gave up on them long time ago. Just not ever give a shit about them at all. Like I don't understand why people go to the games. I don't understand why they have a fan base. They just burn it to the ground. They wouldn't. But anyway.
Well, look, the fan base thing, it's like, again, you stick with a team, like typically like when you're a kid. It's just kind of something ingrained in you.
Right.
It's like, why am I a Michigan fan over a Michigan State fan? I don't know. Right. I saw the Michigan stuff in my parents' house because that's what my dad is. And
exactly.
It just kind of like ingrains you. It's not really a choice, right? Like you don't get to choose.
No, not by any means. It's not like it's not like like
you
not
are right.
having an allegiance.
I do not understand people who go to the games. I don't. To be honest, I think football is one of the worst live experiences
really
in all of sports. I think. Yeah, like I'd rather baseball. Like there's something about going to a baseball game.
Hockey's a lot.
Hockey is
exciting.
Electric live.
Hockey
absolutely. Is electric.
Oh, so speaking to the whole, like, just not to get off the rails too much, but Katie was talking about her experience at a Red Wings game for the first time, right? And she always hated watching hockey on the TV because she says it's too fast. And so we go to the game, and she's like, dude, it's great because now they're like, it's a lot slower. You can follow the puck.
You can choose what you're looking. Yeah, you can choose what you're looking at too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is, and it's just so funny, right?
Yeah.
I've only been to one football game live, so I can't really speak to the live experience
I've never been to a Lions game because again I refuse to give them money.
Yeah, my dad's grandma decided to take us.
But I've been to like Michigan games, and those are different because college football is a whole different atmosphere.
It is, yeah.
So like, but even then, it's like obviously like I'm just like the watching of football. I think is better on TV now with like all the replays and angles and things like that.
Yeah,
that's just. That's a separate story. But like, yeah, so like you look at get back what we were talking about. You look at what the Bengals have done, and like I don't think this is like, hey, the Bengals had a similar record last year as the Lions do this year. The Lions aren't going to do what the Bengals are going to do for one reason. We have tiny hands Jared Goff as our quarterback.
Yeah, well.
Like they have Joe Burrow. Like that he is that much of a difference maker. Now, that's not to say we can't. Like I said, I think the Lions can be at least competitive next year if they do this draft right, because they have a lot of capital as far as draft picks and cap space. And like we've talked about that in a previous episode. But yeah, I think this is like good for Bengals fans. They're like a team I think deserves it, and also go Big Cats, fellow Big Cat team between us and them.
It's the Lunar New Year of the Tiger, so I don't know.
Oh, look at that! The stars literally align.
Yeah, right. Literally. You want to talk about this 49ers Rams game? And
yeah, so we all had the Rams, and I think we all had it for for one reason, right? Jimmy G.
Right. Nobody believed in the 49ers.
No one trusted him. Nope. I stopped doubting them. I wasn't going to be surprised if they won that game, but I knew if it came down to who do I need to be clutch up with the ball at the end of the game between Stafford and Jimmy, I knew it would be Rams. The only chance that the 49ers had was to control the clock and control time of possession, and they really weren't able to.
Right.
So, yeah, it just, I mean, like, and so I know, like, I know you guys talked about Stafford a little bit last week, but if we're looking back at like how things went in that game, because some people are like, oh, the Jaquiski Tart dropped interception that Stafford tried to play hero ball, and that should have been picked off. Let's be real, it should have. And that would have changed. That probably would have ended. It would have been the dagger that ended the game, and he dropped it, and it allowed the Rams to come down and score. But for you, I don't think you can use that like, oh, Stafford got lucky, when you realize that he had 2 touchdown passes dropped in one drive. Like, he literally was first down, or second down was a drop touchdown pass to Kupp because he started running before he caught the ball. His eyes got a little too big for the end zone because he had all that open space in front of him. And then I forget the guy's name, but he was like a rookie this year, and it was a tough catch, but like he was wide open in the end zone and it bounced right off his hands. And so like. And you got to remember, like, Jimmy G had like 2 or 3 passes that could have been picked off that were dropped by the Rams defenders. So it's like, I don't think you can do well, because I don't like when people make excuses for teams being like, well, if we had just done this, we would have won. I don't think you can do it the other way. Stafford played fine. He didn't play like exceptional, but when he needed to make some big throws, he did. And he helped his team get there. And, I will say, though, it is very unfortunate. Like, it really sucks because the trade now feels with the Lions feels a little.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Worse.
I mean,
because we're picking 32. They're gonna win it all.
And I mean would that not be the irony of the Lions? Like, that would be the most satirical South Park episode of the Detroit. Like, if there was a South Park episode about the Detroit Lions, this would be it. Is that not 100%. Correct?
No, that's you're 100%.
I mean, it seems like it's always the Lions. It's always the worst possible outcome is always coming for the Lions.
Yeah,
because they are the Detroit Lions. So
yeah, I think it's just like you look at them and it's like, man. And, like, I know people want to root for him, which I guess is fine, but I root for the jersey. I'm not out here I'm not trying to police fandom. I like when Verlander left and went to the Astros and won a ring, I was very ecstatic. But the difference between Stafford and Verlander is Verlander took us to World Series. Verlander was not the reason we didn't win a championship. He is one of the reasons we even got that far. And he was someone who, like, we owed him a championship. So him going to the Astros and winning one, it was like good for that guy. He's a Hall of Famer that we prevented from winning a ring. He deserves to have it. Whereas Stafford was the time he was here was part of the reason we didn't get.
And the hilarious part,
the Lions have more blame, but Stafford is part. Like, we look back at that 2014 playoff game, like he could have. I know the missed PI call, and yeah, it was a bad no call. It was a bad picked up flag, but Stafford had his chances in that game to make something happen, and he didn't.
At one point, I thought, like, and it was so funny to me because at the time, I mean, I didn't know it was gonna happen, but Stafford made those 2 throws into the end zone, and the dude missed them both times. And
yeah.
I was like, is this just a luck thing with Stafford? Like, is it just Stafford where his receivers just don't come up big in big plays?
You need a little bit of that. Like, let's be real. You need some luck in the NFL. Like, every team needs to get a little lucky. And so that dropped interception was lucky. But again, his team had his defense dropped a few picks that they probably should have had. And again, he had 2 touchdowns that probably definitely should have been caught and weren't.
Right.
So, good for him. Like I said, he's a very likable guy. He did a lot of nice things while he was here in terms of donating to communities in Detroit, and he gave us. He tried his best for 12 years despite his shortcomings. So, it's kind of one of those things like, happy for you, good job, but also stings knowing we're picking 32nd. basically a second round pick, right?
Right.
So
exactly. Yeah.
If he wins it this year, then next year it's full blown. I hope I don't want to hope for injury. I hope he loses the will to play football. I hope he loses the will to play football and just
after
retires.
his Super Bowl season, he has a Tom Brady moment.
He goes out accomplished.
On top. Come on.
He retired Tom Brady and he goes out on top.
Oh my God! Speaking of which, the man, the legend, Tom Brady has retired from football. Griff, how do you feel?
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I've always liked Brady. I wasn't someone who was like hated when he.
I loved Tom Brady. I had a Tom Brady jersey.
Oh,
but the hilarious part though is, listen to this. So my uncle is from New York. All right. So he's the only one in my family that I know of. I have ancestors, but my uncle's not like, a family product of my, family tree. He married in, but anyway, so he's the only one from that area. So he was he's a big fan of the Giants. Big fan of the Giants. Right. So when my Patriots were up against, his Giants, like that was a big deal for me as a 12-year-old boy. And I always hated that. Tom Brady lost both times. But it's great. Like, it was a great time. Tom Brady is actually the player that got me into football. Fun fact.
I think he was a player that got a lot of people into football. I mean,
absolutely. I would not be surprised.
He was the ultimate underdog to the ultimate king and to the ultimate bad guy. Like, people hated Tom Brady. People still hate Tom Brady, especially if you're an AFC East fan.
Right. And so the funny thing too, and I want to relate this to Michigan real quick. And it's so funny because I used to be a Michigan fan, right? And I just I often think about my my history as a Michigan fan, and like I would claim Tom Brady, but like, listen, when Tom Brady played, I was 3,
right?
Like, it's not like, like he didn't do much. I mean, they won the Orange Bowl. They were winning seasons. Like, Michigan was good because Michigan was good, not because Tom Brady was on the team.
He was in a timeshare too.
What do you mean?
Like, he was in a timeshare for quarterback. Like, he was never like.
Like, there was not. No, he never got the starting role. There was not. No. Like,
that's why I find it so funny when Michigan fans try to claim him, and it's like, you can't do.
Yeah, that. But that's the thing. Like, he never did much. Like, I mean, Brady every year is like
drafted in the 6th round, for God's sakes.
No, like, and that's the thing. Like, he was in between maybe like Shea Patterson and Cade McNamara in terms of
the quality, yeah.
Right. And just the fact and the idea, and again, this is going to be the most controversial thing, okay? But I've always pondered, okay? The idea that and it's unquestionably a fact, right? That QBs that are drafted into better systems have better chances of succeeding, right? Like, Matthew Stafford was sort of a product of his own misery, right? Like, he wasn't great, but at the same time, it was the Lions that sort of befell him. And same thing with what is it? Like, Patrick Mahomes was taken number 15. Like, it's not a shock to me that the Kansas City Chiefs are successful now and have gone to Super Bowls, won playoff games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you have players like Trevor Lawrence who went 7 weeks this year without a TD pass. And I'm like, that's not surprising because, there are stats out there every year where the top, I don't think that teams that draft QBs high ever have much to say with that, right? There's more I always ponder, I guess what I'm trying to say is I always ponder, what if Tom Brady ended up as, I don't know, in like who was bad, like the Ravens, right? Like the Ravens had just been a team, right? Like, or if he had made it into another system or whatever, like I always ponder
he landed that. The story of Tom Brady doesn't happen, I don't think, without, it was the perfect circumstance, but
right.
You know what?
In his injury.
The NFL, sometimes you need a little luck, know. Absolutely. And he did, and he won the starting job, and that's that.
Right.
So, he's the greatest of all time, without a doubt. He might be the greatest athlete in all of sports.
The crazy thing, though, too, is he's not even a QB archetype. Like Tom Brady being the greatest football player, quarterback, right, of all time, is like me saying, right, like what is something that in baseball, okay, what is something that you look for in a pitcher, right? You want him to be tall, okay? You want him to be tall. You want him to throw accurately. Preferably, you probably want him to throw fast, okay? Right? Mm-hmm. Like Tom Brady being the greatest quarterback of all time is like a pitcher who throws a top speed fastball of 87 mile per hour, 5'8", 5'6", whatever, being the greatest pitcher of all time. Like, it's not something that you can't draw that shit up.
Yeah.
There will never be a Tom Brady again.
You know why he was the greatest? Because of his mind. Like, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
He just saw the game a different way. And it almost didn't feel real because, Tom Brady's been winning championships since I've been a toddler.
Yeah.
And now he's finally done.
Tom Brady had accomplished more, probably 100 times over by the time he got to my age.
He's won more Super Bowls than any one team.
Yeah, right. Well,
because the Patriots have won 6 and he's won 7, even though the Patriots 6 were because of him.
So the funny thing about that, I feel like you move teams just to spite them. But so the funny thing about that though is I hate Pittsburgh, right, and all their teams, right. And I love that fact just because it spites Pittsburgh, right? Like Tom Brady has more Super Bowls than Pittsburgh does,
and he's the reason why the Patriots as a franchise are now number 1 in most championships won.
Exactly.
Or most Super
because they had not won a Super Bowl until he came to them. And because even then they lost both of them?
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah.
Right. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Retires. Crazy news.
It's kind of sad, but I'm glad it's finally happened.
Yeah.
Let's usher in the next, we have some great quarterbacks in this league right now, like Mahomes, Herbert, obviously Joe Burrow.
Right.
Who am I fucking forgetting? Derek Carr, or not Derek Carr. Wrong.
Yeah, Derek Carr is a good QB.
He's a deep. No. He's a good QB. I'm talking about like young, like potentially future.
You know who QBs. I'm thinking of? Jared Goff.
Okay, shut the fuck up. I would take Derek Carr in a heartbeat. Jared Goff. Anyway.
You know what? Harbaugh, and I know the news you're about to bring up, but Harbaugh should take the Vikings job, all right, and then sign Shea Patterson.
Oh my! Shut the fuck up.
Come on.
But no, like you look at like the future quarterbacks of the NFL. Yeah, you have Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert. You got like Lamar Jackson, Mac Jones. And Mac Jones, don't get me wrong, like he still has a lot to prove, but
right,
he showed some good things. And then
he has a good system too.
Trevor Lawrence could be very, very good. He just had a bad first year, and that was a bad situation in Jacksonville. Right. Let's be honest. So I'm not too worried about him. Like this year's when I think. Maybe we can start making some judgments, but
Griff,
there's plenty of. Josh Allen, that's who I'm forgetting. Young quarterbacks. Yeah, yep.
Even Lamar Jackson is even though he's been on the NFL turf, right? Like even though Lamar Jackson has arrived, I still think that there is a lot more to come from them.
he
from
had a
Baltimore.
down year, and we'll have to see. I think like teams have like kind of
at
figured
the
him out
same
a little
time,
bit.
though. Are you not impressed with what Lamar Jackson has done in terms of like throwing, like something that like he's not necessarily known for?
His passing game.
Oh, it's improved 50 times.
Yeah, but the issue is 50 times 1 is still 50, you know, like, and listen, yeah. I like Lamar, but he's got some things he's got to prove in my mind.
I mean,
like,
it's true.
I know he's won an MVP, but that was early, and now he needs to. I need to see him do it again. I need to see him bounce back to that form.
Right.
I know he can throw the ball well. I mean, it's just like I need to see him do, and he was hurt this year too. So like this year is a write-off. Right. I need to just see him come out and play really good football next year, and he's right back in that high-end conversation.
Kirk Cousins, great QB.
Okay, we're moving on.
So Griff, you want to talk about Brian Flores? So
I don't want to, but
perfect. I have the news for you. I have the news for you. All right. So listen, I want to paint this. Okay, I want to paint this for you. All right.
Yeah.
So when you told me, and I'm not the most like big into the NFL person, like you are much more of an NFL person than I am. All right.
Yeah.
I am much more of a college football person, baseball, hockey, whatever other sport. Curling. I probably know more about curling. Anyway, so Brian Flores, when you told me about Brian Flores being fired at Miami, I was like, ugh, like what is that news? Like that does not pertain to me. You know what I mean? Like I just don't care.
I just couldn't believe it.
but here's the thing. So as this happened, this has gotten more interesting. So, and this has been all over the news this week. Right, where Brian Flores is suing the NFL. I want to lead you up to that. All right. So Brian Flores was fired right after 3 seasons with Miami. Right. All right. Now, since Griff, do you know the answer to this question? Since 2006, how many winning seasons has Miami had between 2006 and 2018?
God, I think 06 was the year they almost went 0-16. So
they went 1-15. Trying to think.
That was the year they were almost saved the Lions from being the first.
The answer, I'll save you some time. The answer is 2. They have had.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 3, maybe
4. 2 winning seasons since 2000, from 2006 to 2018. All right, in 2 of Flores's 2 of his 3 years, one being during COVID-19. In 2 of those years, he had winning seasons. Didn't win. I'll give him that. He didn't
during
win.
A brutal rebuild.
Exactly.
Going through
exactly.
One of probably the most difficult teams to rebuild at that time because they really blew it all up.
So now Brian Flores is suing the NFL. He says that the New York Giants interviewed him under disingenuous circumstances. All right, and he has reason, and I'll explain why. But he has reason to say reason to prove it. So he found out that the Giants actually intended to hire Brian Daboll or Daboll, whatever.
Brian Daboll.
Brian Daboll. All right. So at the center of this allegation is a congratulatory text from New England Patriots head coach Brian Belichick, who sent a text to him by accident. I did not fuck up his name.
You said Brian Belichick. Too many Brians.
Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick. I knew that.
Listen, we all do that. There's a lot of B's in this story. I get it. You're fine.
So anyway, Bill Belichick sent this text message by accident, okay? He thought he was texting Brian Daboll, who the Giants were going to hire, all right?
Which I just want to point out.
Yeah.
Brian Flores and Brian Daboll in the contacts would be very close to each other.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
F and D. Only as long as there wasn't a B name with an E in it, it's very possible they were right above each other.
So Flores is suspecting that this was a quote unquote sham interview. All right. Now he has perfect reason to think that because, for those unaware, in 2003, the NFL instituted the Rooney Rule, which requires every team to interview at least 2 external minority candidates for open head coaching positions. Okay? And for context, if you want to know if this rule is working, it's not. One of the NFL's 27 filled head coaching positions, 5 are unfilled. One of 27 coaches, Mike Tomlin, is black for the Steelers. 1 is Puerto Rican, 1 is Mexican. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. 1 is of Puerto Rican and Mexican descent. 1 is Lebanese. So 3 minority NFL head coaches out of 27, not great.
So, and I do want to point out, because that's just looking at now, which that data doesn't show the entirety of the Rooney Rule. If you want to talk about, there's been 122 NFL head coach hires since the Rooney Rule, 2 decades.
Yeah.
Only 17 have been men of color.
Fucking crazy. How is that working for you?
So it's definitely, that's 14%.
And weren't people upset when the Lions hired Dan Campbell? They hired a white head coach with no coordinator experience at all, who I was very, very suspicious of. They hire him over the Chiefs coordinator? Who was that?
Eric Bieniemy, which by the way, I feel like, why the hell, like this? Something must be known about him by now, right? He has been like one of the top job candidates for a while. And like, don't get me wrong, I get like race, right? But I just feel like he's been on a Super Bowl when his team has gone to the fucking AFC Championship game 4 times and has had one of the top 10 offenses in the league for 4 years. I feel like the league, like, there's no way he hasn't gotten a job. I think that like teams must just know that like Andy Reid is actually calling all the shots, and he's not actually like, the offensive genius, and it's more so Andy Reid than him. I feel like there's got to be something there, because the enemy, like, it just is insane to me that no one would.
So in the lawsuit, in Brian Flores' lawsuit, he says that Eric Bieniemy has the quote unquote pedigree, track record, and reputation, unquote, to be a head coach right now. And despite that, in spite of that, he is still an offense. He is still a coordinator.
Yeah, and it's like, don't get me wrong. I know race is part of it, but it just feels like you're telling me like the Carolina Panthers, who like their new owner, like he is so like mad at Matt Rule right now. You're telling me he just wants to win. Like don't get me wrong. I'm sure that everyone's got internal biases, but if he really felt like Eric Bieniemy could be the person who could bring him a championship, I feel like there's got to be at least some owner out there that could look past the race part and do it. And we don't know what these owners are thinking, or maybe it's subconscious they think that. But yeah, it's very wild to me that, first of all, Bill Belichick fucking this all up is absolutely hilarious. Second of all, like I think his whole thing with like, I understand why he's suing for racism, because it's showing that all he was a quota,
right,
for to fill that the Giants were doing. And
right.
The fact that internally they had made the decision to hire Dable before even interviewing him, well, one, it shows, the Rooney Rule isn't doing anything valuable.
Right.
And 2, it does show that like the Giants broke, had a breach of the rules, because internally they had already made the decision. But no, I think it's substantial. And like, you can make the parallel to Jim Caldwell, even though I don't think that one's as fair. Like if you were a Lions fan, and I know there's Lions fans that still
think of it in this context. Okay, and I'll make a small excuse, because the Dolphins firing Flores was one thing, right? Like obviously Flores is much more concerned with the Giants not hiring him. And despite this right now, because there are 5 vacancies right now in the NFL, and I'm sure that other coaches minority, black, whoever, like these coaches are dealing with the same thing. Like this is a big year for head coaching vacancies, and Brian Flores cannot be the only one. And so it's like, it would not be surprising if this comes, like if other coaches come, I don't know, to back him up or whatever, like Brian Flores said, if this means that he does not get another head coaching job, but something changes, then this is going to be, this would be worth it to him.
He's falling on the sword.
Right.
For
absolutely.
his cause. He's not ever going to be a head.
No.
Like, he's never going to be a head coach in the NFL again.
No, because and Eric Bieniemy has Kaepernick even more. Eric Bieniemy has more of a like if I had to choose, and this is no disrespect to Flores, I would hire Bieniemy obviously over Flores, right? But like the fact that Bieniemy has not gotten a head coaching job just is crazy to me, because there have been 70 vacancies during the time at which Bieniemy has been a coordinator at Kansas City for 12 years now. And he was an All-American at Colorado. Like, he has the track record, like, as a player, as a coach. There is just no reason why he, let alone Flores, should not be.
Bieniemy, like I said, with Bieniemy, I feel like there's something that the NFL, the teams know that, like, again, he's not the one calling the plays. That's more Andy Reid than him. Because, again, like, his team's gone to 4 AFC championship games in a row. Right. I just feel like he would, like, we've had minority head coaches
at the same time. Matt Patricia was the head coach of the Detroit Lions for 3 fucking seasons and didn't, and still. So,
that's it. If Matt Patricia could have been black, he would have gotten hired because Bob Quinn and him were butt buddies. It didn't matter. But no, and that's not to. I'm not trying to downplay this, because I do think there's a legitimate gripe here. Like, Brian Flores, I think, like, that's the other thing we see is when men of color get these positions, they have a much shorter leash. Right. Brian Flores getting canned after 3 seasons, going through a very difficult rebuild where the team is not really committing to a certain philosophical ideal and how to go about that. Like, rebuild.
Good luck, Miami, with doing fucking anything for the next 5 seasons.
Yeah.
Like, God, and this isn't, and again, and this is the only defense that I'll make for Miami, okay? But like, firing him in a way, okay? Like, they had no reason to fire him. There's, like, Brian Flores, if you want to give him a hot seat, not even on the hot seat, all right?
Yeah.
But
I agree.
They have not had a stable head coaching position. And I don't remember why these people left, right? But, like, since Don Shula coached his last season for Miami in 1995, Jimmy Johnson was the head coach for 4 seasons, 3 seasons. I'm sorry. Dave Wannstedt was the head coach for 4 seasons. And then he left mid-season in 2004 because he was fired after going 1-8. And then Jim Bates took over. They got rid of him. They gave Nick Saban the job for 05 and 06. Nick Saban left, obviously. Cam Cameron went 1-15 in 07. So they have not had a stable guy at these jobs ever. So, like, so for some reason that just speaks to me that this is not a valuable position. This is not I would not be surprised that someone with, like, a pedigree would not want this job.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing you have to look at too, in that, the lawsuit, he's also alleging that Broncos GM John Elway showed up to his interview drunk with him back a couple years ago, and
so they're not, like, taking him seriously.
You look at the Giants thing, it's a series of like, they're not taking minority coaches seriously when Flores is a legit candidate. Like, we're seeing certain guys like Aaron Glenn on the Lions getting interviews. we're seeing Flores getting interviews, but it's like they all have shorter leashes. Like Flores had a really short leash when 2 out of 3 years winning season on a rebuilding team with a quarterback that they don't even know, the team doesn't even know if they want. You have guys like Steve Coley on the Texans, who was a one and done after doing what he had with, he literally had nothing to work with, and they fired him. And he is a he was, a mixed race, but he would, definitely he had African American in him. And like, you can even look at Jim Caldwell, because like, here's my argument, right? Jim Caldwell was fired, rightfully so. I know
at the
he
same
went
time, though,
9-7,
too, to argue that
I don't
point,
care for
it
mediocrity.
is a lot easier to like, and your point's valid, like 100%, but it's a lot easier to critique a coach if you are like coach, like a lot of people who are watching the Tigers rebuild, for example, look at me like I'm crazy when I suggest that the Tigers are in a bad spot. Right? Like, I don't think that they have anyone coming up through the ranks, and I don't want to turn this into to a Tiger spin, but I'm just saying that, like, a lot of people who have a different perspective on it are not going to see it the same as you. So there are people right now who still think that Jim Caldwell was fired. Stephen A. Smith doesn't think that Jim Caldwell should have been fired.
And I think, I know there's people in Detroit that think that way, but I don't really care for what the national media has to say in the situation, because they're looking at, he went to the playoffs and he won. He had a winning record most of the time.
The bare minimum.
But I don't care about winning records. I don't care about. I care about winning championships.
The issue too with Caldwell was that Caldwell had a better team, so you would expect more from him.
Yeah, he had a great team, and he didn't.
Like, he had a better. He had his. Respectfully so, he had a better team than Patricia did.
Bradley, let me finish the sentence. No, I'm teasing. Sorry. I know. But like, in all seriousness, like, if you watched how he ran the game, you watched his clock management, he squandered a lot of wins for that team. He couldn't win. He didn't win a division. Like, I don't get all these people but the thing is, I thought Caldwell was fired after that last season. I was like, yep, it's time to move on. And here's my thing. Like, and then guys like Patricia get 3 years. Patricia should have been gone, honestly, probably after the first year. But, you give a coach 2 years typically. There was no reason for him to have ever been back after that second season. And that's, I think, where we also see the trend of white coaches can make more mistakes and they're allowed to stick around longer. I mean, look at fucking Bill O'Brien on the Texans. He gave away an all-pro wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins for nothing. He squandered away a huge lead against the Chiefs in the playoffs and choked that game away. Like, and yet Bill O'Brien was allowed to stick around for as long as he was.
Right.
Or as long as he did. Like, there's so many coaches, like, or like, look at Joe Judge. Like, the fact that he wasn't fired even sooner than he was. Like, I think that's where, like, the point of Caldwell is a valid one, where it's like,
yeah, he
got the yank again at the right time, but other coaches are always given more leniency. See, that's where I think, like, owners and GMs are not more aggressive with coaches. I'm not saying you got to fire a coach every year. That is not a recipe for success. But they always, like, I think they're just so worried about, like, we can't look dumb by firing the guy we hired. But, that just hurts you long term. But for whatever reason, they don't have that issue with minority coaches. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Like, again, the fact that Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn got a third draft, a third set of picks to waste, and a third fucking year of just dog shit is insane.
Can you imagine if they actually got rid of them on time?
We would have had the number 3 pick, and we would have taken not a
cornerback,
or anything but a quarterback, at least a cornerback, at least, right? We wouldn't be stuck with bum ass Jeff Okudah.
Whatever. And there's people that want to argue, anyway. Dude's only 23 anyway. Yeah, I do too much about
23 as a corner that couldn't cover. A 23 that couldn't cover anyone when he was healthy, and now has a torn Achilles. Oh, what about Cam Akers? That's great. Even if he comes back 100%, he was still dog shit at 100%.
Yeah.
It.
So
Jeff
Griff, I got a
Yeah.
new. Did you see my text today? I got a new segment for you. All right.
Yes.
So it's called Quick Hits. Okay, are you excited? All right. Now I'm going to ask you a series of questions. You have a minute to answer all of them, like combined. Like it is 3 questions. We're just starting off light. We're soft launching. It's like called a soft launch. You know what a soft launch is, right? Great.
Yes.
So,
yep.
Perfect. So I am going to, can I pause this? Hold on. Let me see if I can do this. So, all right. So we're going to put Griff on screen. All right. Griff is on the screen. There's a countdown. Can I pause that by any motion? Not auto start. There we go. Save. Okay. There we go. Got it. All right. So a minute on the screen. I don't know how to work this software. Right. I'm learning on the job.
Yes.
Okay. Griff, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. The first question is actually relevant. So we are going to.
Ask me the question anyway.
Oh my goodness. I can talk oh my goodness. Okay, I'll ask it. I swear, I'll ask it. All right, Griff. Let's put it up there and go. All right, is Harbaugh going to leave this week?
Well, we know the answer now is no, that he's coming back to the University of Michigan in 2022. But I'll say this. Harbaugh wanted to go back to the NFL. Bears and the Raiders and Bears rumors without him ever getting an interview, I think, started from him. He finally gets the job interview, and then he flew out today for the second interview and then came back. To me, it just screams he didn't get the job, and so he's crawling back to Michigan as his only option.
Interesting. Is Aaron Rodgers cursed in the playoffs?
Certainly seems like it. They built him a great offense and defense, and every year he does it. He just can't seem to pull it out. I know the loss 2 weeks ago wasn't necessarily his fault, but he didn't help him win either. Are the
Washington Commanders good for Is that a good name?
Yeah, it's fine. It's
people fine.
Like all of a sudden, people have fallen in love with the Washington football team for some reason, which I really don't understand. And I think in 2 to 3 years, people will have forgotten about it and remembered how fucking stupid it was, and realized Washington Commanders. Kind of boring, but it fits the theme of the Washington team names aside from the Wizards. Right. And it's cool and not racist. So
that's true. It's not racist. That is the one bare minimum.
I know the minute just ended, but quick aside, the jerseys look pretty fresh. I like the matte helmet.
I didn't actually see them. Let me see them. Let's pull them up.
They're kind of shadowy. It's not like a full view, but you can make some stuff out. I don't like the black. I think it's their color rush. It's not that I'm not a fan of. But the the home and away standard jerseys with the matte helmet, I thought were very nice.
We are gonna go blank. Okay, so let's make this full screen. All right, let's make this full screen. We got all the time in the world, right, Griff? We got all the time. All right, so is this what these look like? This is the logo.
Yeah, that's them.
What is that?
It's just the W still, but
what is that?
Some lines in.
Nah, I guess that's all right.
But yeah, I like the jerseys. I think they're pretty clean. I like the black is cool, but I hate the helmet.
You hate the helmet? Well, it's got
look at the helmet on the black jersey. Yeah. It's got the W right in the front, and I think that looks goofy. I think it would have been better with the stripe, but
okay.
Yeah, overall they're pretty good. And the name's fine.
Huh.
You know, it's nothing crazy, but that's kind of what that team needs after all the fucking turmoil it's had. Just something safe.
Yeah. Well, and again, like you mentioned, I mean, it's not racist. So, I do like the W. I will say that. I do like the W.
By the way, to bring it back to Harbaugh, I still can't believe I don't know if I'm mad that he's coming back or not. I'm just like, ugh.
Well, and so here's my thing, to be honest. What was that? What was all that? For what?
No, it was Harbaugh wanted to go to the NFL, but no NFL team wanted him. The Vikings.
So not even the Bears.
I don't think. No.
I was hoping he wouldn't go to the Bears.
Well, no, he's not. He's staying in Michigan. I don't think, like I said, I don't think by his own choice. I think it's by the lack of choices he had, and I think he had to just say, "All right, I'm staying here." And I think he knows now. Like after testing the waters, like, and I ain't. He apparently told Ward Manuel, the Michigan athletic director, who I'm sure he's having a great few weeks with all the shit going on at the university.
What do you do now if you're Harbaugh?
He's got to coach at Michigan forever. I mean, until he retires, unless he can like rattle off some wins and get increase.
You think this has any effect, like recruiting wise? Like this cannot be good for recruiting.
Probably doesn't help that he wasn't in the state on National Signing Day. So,
but I think not even that. But like as a recruit, would you not be concerned with like the inconsistency of your head coach?
Probably a little. I mean, definitely, especially because he was telling recruits that he was taking interviews, apparently. So, like, yeah, I mean, unless he starts, like, all of it goes away if next offseason we don't hear a fucking rumor that he's going to the NFL.
Right.
But we will see. So,
yeah.
Yeah, Brad, I'm not looking forward to it, though. I don't think he's going to replicate this season, and I think it's right back on the decline. Oh, yay.
You think so?
Michigan football and turmoil forever. Anyway, Brad, I want to talk about betting.
Perfect. Can't wait.
No, I mean, not a lot to bet on this week.
No, there's not, actually.
No football. Brad and I are not big NBA guys, so I'm not going to give you a bet on something I don't know about. That would be disingenuous and dishonest, and I'm not that. I do have one bet it's currently going on now, but it was like one that I actually liked, and I wanted to put it on the board. Unfortunately, you probably can't bet it now because it's already started. It's the Red Wings game that's on currently. I have Red Wings Kings over 5.5 goals. Currently, it's 1-0 after the first period, but I know the Red Wings, they give up 3 goals every fucking third period, so I think this game will get, and with how many scoring chances that the Kings have had, it's actually kind of a miracle that it's currently 1-0 Wings. So I think that'll get to the over fairly easily. Now this is one I do think is interesting. An early Super Bowl lock-in here. Current spread for the Super Bowl is Bengals getting 4.5 points. Here's an interesting stat, Brad. The Bengals have played 20 games this year. They have either won or lost by 3 or fewer points in 16 of them. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. What? That's 80%. 80% of their games. So for me, I'm taking Bengals +4 while I can. So give me 4.5, even though that's normally the devil's number. I like it when I like the underdog. I'm locking in Bengals +4.5 now before that line moves any closer to even. So
that is a good
that's
idea.
All I got. You don't have any right this week.
No,
which, again, is fine.
like literally
if you don't like anything, don't put it on the board.
Well, and like I was thinking, like, what am I gonna do? Like bet the Olympics? What do you want me to do? Like, I'm not. Even though I do agree that Winter Olympics are a lot more exciting. Like, if I were betting, I would take like a hockey game or something. I don't know. Like that would be of interest to me, but it's not. Curling, sure. No big deal. Curling sounds like a great time.
All right, Brad. Now, before we get out of here, let's just do a little who you got recap, because we're obviously going to be picking the Super Bowl next week. We're going to have a big Super Bowl show next week, but no football games this week, and we don't. Who you got is a football picks segment,
right?
And next week will be the season finale, and I just wanted to see where we were at right now. So I got here's our totals, right? We got Brad. You are 60 out of 111 picks for a rate of 53%. and I am at 61 out of 111 picks. So, next week, we'll see who we each pick for the Super Bowl. Obviously, best case is for you is a tie, and worst case for me is the tie. But we've been neck and neck the whole time, and I wanted to look back. I looked through some of the other, did some quick data analysis, and a fascinating thing I know is just like, okay, Brad and I are really even. Did we just pick that many close games and pick that many similar games? The answer is no. I mean, you got to remember, all of our college picks, we only had a couple, probably 5 or 6 games throughout the whole college season where we both picked the same game, right? Because otherwise, college games, we each picked 3 for whatever we felt like picking. Yeah, and remember, with college games, we did against the spread, because in the NFL games, we just did a straight up pick 'em. And then even in our NFL games, 52% of the time, which is half of the time we picked, we each picked a different team. So for us to still kind of get back to this mean of being so close to one another, it's kind of incredible. And it's been a very good, if you go 50% in like betting. Now, granted, we weren't doing spreads, which would have been a different story, but you go 50% with like betting, like you're doing pretty good. That's hard to do. So I think the fact that we're both above 50 in the green a little bit, I think,
pretty good news.
Job well done to us. And, we'll finish it out next week, and it'll be a good time.
I agree. It'll be a good time. I mean, I guess it definitely helped that like a lot of the NFL games that we picked were like pick'ems.
We tried to pick. We picked the competitive. Games too, though. Like we picked the ones that already had a very low,
and they were pretty even too, because we picked about 3 or 4 per week.
Yeah, we picked typically 3 to 4. Like we picked games that again were fun.
Right. So like it's not like we were playing like the Jaguars against like we weren't
any
doing
other Jaguars
team.
Rams.
Yeah, right.
Like, who do you got?
Yeah.
I think if we were struggling of like, I don't know, I think if we did have a game like that, I think we would throw the spread on.
Right.
We basically threw the spread on games where it was like, hey, this is kind of like, we know who's going to win. Let's do the spread on this.
Right.
So,
Griff, do you have anything to say to the people?
No, I mean,
we're getting out of here kind of early.
I knew this show would be a little slower this week.
Bit light, yeah.
Can I just say, I absolutely hate the 2-week gap between the championship games and the Super Bowl.
Yeah, when did they start doing that? Because they've
always done it, because the Pro Bowl always.
I used to think that the Pro Bowl was the right after.
No, it's maybe they was right after. I used
to think that it was right after the Super Bowl, and then what they did is they realized that nobody gave a shit about the Pro Bowl, so they started putting it before.
Don't give a shit, because now the people in the Super Bowl can't play in it.
Well, right. Well,
because
exactly.
Maybe
it was always in between. So here's my issue. All right. And we're like, at this point, this was not planned, but I will say, and I wanted to say this too. The Pro Bowl, like, I don't know.
Oh, 2009 is when it moved to the Sunday before.
Really?
Before that, it was always the Sunday after.
So I think, and I'm going to be completely honest here, the Pro Bowl shouldn't exist. So I completely think that we should just acknowledge the Pro Bowl guys as who they are, all right, and get rid of the game.
Get rid of the game and just do the skills competition and shit. Like,
right.
Football especially is like the most brutal of sports on a human being's body. It's just, a high-speed
I just
crash.
don't care about the Pro Bowl. I've never cared about the Pro Bowl. It is the last All-Star game I'll watch. Like, I'll watch the NHL All-Star game. Hell, I'll watch the NBA. I probably have seen more NBA All-Star games than I've seen NBA games.
Right.
I watched the WNBA All-Star game.
Those are also mid-season.
That's true.
As well,
which more people give a shit. I will watch the baseball All-Star game all the time. That one's fun, though.
Remember when Yeah, because again, they'll play in them because again, the chance of injury is very low. And now that it's not a game that determines who gets home field advantage in the fucking World Series, now they really don't have to take it seriously.
Well, and with baseball too, like all the best players are in. So like the chances of a game being like a little bit like high scoring is pretty
yeah.
It's
because the pitchers
high.
Aren't throwing gas. They're not like trying to injure themselves.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I think like for me, keep name everyone to the Pro Bowl. Don't actually play a game. Just do
like
the fun
they do in
skills
college, right? Like they have a Senior Bowl, but that's for scouts.
Yeah, that's the scouting event. That's guys trying to raise their draft stock.
Exactly. Like they don't have an All-American game. They don't need that.
Yeah. No, I'm saying like what they should do is, again, name everyone to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Send them out to Hawaii. It's a nice end of year trip for them and do the skills competition because those are fun.
Right.
And do charity stuff. Like I get there's a lot of things that the Pro Bowl like sort of does. It's not like it's not like the biggest charity event or anything, but like there's sponsorships you got to fulfill and things like that, but like people tune in for like the skills competition more than anything. So just again, here we are talking about the fucking Pro Bowl. Didn't have that on my bingo card. But yeah, the Pro Bowl, move it to the weekend after the Super Bowl, make it a skills competition, and like make it, I don't know, like if you want to still have like a game, just make it like a flag football. Make it something like not serious.
Right.
Because you can't do full pad football because no one's going to play it like that.
Right, exactly.
It's just silly to me. But I digress.
You digress. Griff, do you want to sign us off?
I will. I'll sign now.
That is so good.
Everyone, thanks for listening. Tune in next week for our big Super Bowl, the big game extravaganza. We're going to break down the game, break down the prop bets, have a little fun with some of the non-football prop bets, how long the fucking national anthem going to go over under, shit like that. It's going to be a good time. We'll catch you all next week. Be smart with your bets. Be nice to one another. And don't forget, make and practice your free throws. See ya.
I ain't gonna lay back, pray that someone's gonna help me. Ain't nobody like that. I ain't gonna wait, that's all fact. Give me one shot and I'll never get the throne back. I'm sick of being cautious. I'ma go cause something, can't stop this.